Hey folks, totally not named Dan here, though you can call me that if you want, and apologies if I look a little disheveled today. I've just got back from 2 days of nationals, was going to do 3, but, well, after yesterday, I don't think I can do teams. And I'm pretty sure my buddy here, Una, agrees, which means I couldn't even team
Yeah.
with it if I wanted to.
Yeah, hi there. Yeah, Teams was an idea I thought of doing as well, but it was a slog yesterday. I got home, I think, personally at like 11:30 last night. Yesterday was fun, but hell, I wasn't awake until like gone 11:12, so no way I was making it to the 3v3 as well.
Oh, I turned my alarm off and woke up at 3. I really slept in, because, I mean, you were playing a fairly control-y deck, right?
Yeah, Tiger's control to some aspects, but it can definitely kill you sometimes turn 2 or 3
Yeah.
if he just allowed to go off and checks well.
Whereas my deck, we tested together a lot longer. My first game against Emma Gillespie was a 0-0 draw. Yeah, Mineta is crazy defensive once he gets going. And we tested it, and Mirio, it was a dice roll. So I was really scared when she sat down, played Mirio, won the dice. I was just like, well, I've lost this. No, turns out, got just enough foundations in here that buff damage, but I can get all my throws through at 1 damage, and just, as long as the game doesn't go 28 turns, they don't die, I don't die, 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I found that with Mineta as well, because I used to play him in the past, just sometimes he just doesn't kill.
I mean, he always kills, but sometimes it's way too slow.
Good old paper cuts.
And Mirio is actually a great defensive character once his aggro's failed. So, that's the issue there. And yeah, I brought up specifically the player because, I mean, Mirio's deck I hate. Mirio is obnoxious.
I can agree to
And
that.
I came up against her the previous day playing Akuma from Old Standard in the retro tournament that we were playing, who is also absolutely obnoxious in that he just throws, he gets +7/+7 on his attack because he's managed to stuff enough face downs in his pool and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
And he's just stupid. But at the same time, I really enjoyed playing against her because she's just infectiously cheery about it. And so it didn't really matter that the matchup was awful. You know?
Yeah, sometimes the highlight of a match is just who you're playing against, not the actual match itself.
And then the following match, I didn't do so well against. The following match was an Overhaul, and I tested against Overhaul. Overhaul should have been a good matchup for me, but what I didn't account for was the ability to loop maximum hardening and just basically take away all my damage. So
Yeah.
it went long, and he was just too good at getting his own damage in. Eventually, I died.
I faced that maximum hardening thing myself first round. It's just nasty.
Yep. And so that went 1-0 to them. Didn't quite manage to finish the second game, if I remember rightly. Third game, though, third game, I think we actually went 3 rounds, and in overtime, I managed to kill them. And that was a Staff Strike Jiro, because it turns out this deck's just ridiculous against that. They plus speed. What do? You just discard a momentum. Mineta does Mineta things. They plus damage, and you can't stop that. Well, Creepy Realization takes the damage away again. And in this particular build, I'm running 4 copies of it. So if you get a second Creepy Realization, you take away all the base damage as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I faced the same person actually, to be honest.
Huh.
But it did hose down Tiger a fair bit because Tiger it needs stuff to be slow but hard so I can flip it around.
Yeah, whereas Mineta just says no to everything. It was not a good matchup for them. So it was really scary until I realized that, and it was actually a lot of fun seeing how their deck worked still. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit different from the regular Jiro you see, which is always nice to see a popular character, but in a different way.
Yeah, and I mean, round 4 was kind of that as well. Round 4 was against Alex Gascon, who was apparently the top player in Spain. And it was really interesting to see his deck, because his deck was based around Cero, who is basically a variation on Mirio, because he can change his own to whatever he wants constantly at no cost, but he's not restricted to punches and slams, and if you partial him at any point, he gets 2 free cards to his hand, but he doesn't get the plus damage. The worst part, though, is once per game, he gets to rip your hand apart. So, that's a rough one.
Yeah, I can imagine. I never played against Sarah, but I did see quite a few around the venue, though.
Huh. Because I have never seen one before, and also, it was pretty cool to see his build, because specifically, he was running a 2-check, and apparently 3 copies of it. So it could just get stupid damage. It could go up to like 17 or something. And he specifically built a deck that would go, here's a 2-diff foundation, here's a 1, here's a 0, here's a 0. Only the second 0 had a chance of failing there. So he'd specifically built the deck to play around this 2-check, rather than the normal, here's 2 2s, here's a 1, etc., and you'd very easily fail foundations. So it's cool to see that people actually know how to build with 2s.
Yeah, it's something I've struggled with personally, is getting the right balance around 2-checks. Electing in, say, my Order Tiger, just elect the 2-check completely purely because the 3-diff was so important that I needed to play it down a lot of the time, or I would just not have the power to keep going.
Yeah, because Player Body is just so integral to Tiger. I agree.
Mm.
And yeah, it was a good matchup. I killed him one time, he killed me one time. I think we had a third game, I don't fully remember, but it went to a 1-1 draw in the end. And that's kind of how a lot of my games went. There were a lot of 1-1 draws, generally where my opponent killed me in the last second, and if maybe I hadn't been so frazzled from just playing constantly throughout the entire time, I might have been able to play a little better, eke out the win there, or at least survive to not take their final hit. But
yeah, I can imagine that just takes age. Unlucky, but luckily, I didn't do too hard myself. But at least when I did die, it was in about 30-40 minutes. So I at least had like 10 minutes to do some trading or grab a drink. Just things like that. It just helps in the long run of a 8-hour slog.
Yeah, whereas every round of mine was like an hour 4, and then I'd have the second half of overtime to quickly run to the bathroom. And that was all I had.
It's
I
not
did
going to be
not stop card gaming for 11 hours straight, apart from a short lunch break. I did then, in round 6, come up against my buddy, Buddhist, who was playing his classic Bakugo deck, which he doesn't have a lot of faith in. But I've seen it, I've compared it to Tim Keefe's topping one, which he plays top 16 in originals with. And it's just, I mean, Tim Keefe leaves out some very obvious key cards. It's like this pro player somehow just does not know how to build Bakugo, which is crazy to me.
You gotta put in those window shoppings.
Yeah, I mean, Cutist's version is just clearly the better deck.
Yeah.
But when it came to me, this was another 1-game round. It was an hour and 4 minutes for me to get him down to 2 cards in deck and then finally get through a throw he couldn't deal with.
Yeah, and Bakugo's normally a deck that kills you in, like, again, 2-3 turns.
Well, this was the thing. I took 17 damage on the first turn from him. Well, the first attack turn, the second turn. And then the following turn, he got me down to 4. And then my health total did not change for the rest of the game.
That's just sometimes how many they think you've got you down, and then you just live on, like, 3-4 health.
Yeah.
I've seen it many times. I've been 2 or 3 times when I was playing Mineta where I would have 1 health left. And I'm just like, I'm still standing.
Yeah. He's a crazy character.
But I always say, at least you have a throw or 2 in your deck. I always like to, at least. Just for situations like that, or one of my favorite cards, Electric Jolt. Just that 1 chip damage can really just win you a game sometimes.
Oh, I ate a lot of Electric Jolts on the day. I don't even remember what my last opponent was playing, to be honest. The whole day's a haze, but I managed to eke out the victory there as well, and went 3-1-3 in the end. 1 loss, 3 draws, 3 wins, which got me 30th place. Had I managed to make one of those draws into a win, I may well have topped the event, but as was, I'm happy with what I got. I got a whole bunch of promos. All in the new frame, sadly, but some of them still really cool.
Yeah, same here. I've managed to grab a place that are passing the torch by taking away other things.
Well, the one I'm really happy for is this Mineta, because I now have a shiny sort of Chinese dress styly or traditional Chinese art background styly version of the character I was actually playing in the event, which is cool.
Yeah,
And
it
then,
reminds me of Kill Bill.
you know what, actually, I wouldn't even put the foot fetish past him, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't argue that with you.
Yeah. And then in one of the packs I got from the event, I opened a rejuvenating smash, which would have been cool to play, but honestly, I was a bit more excited in trading it for this.
The biggest of geniusts.
Big genius. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
talked to the marketing guy who was there, head of Jasco and now UVS Games is marketing, and asked him if I could play this in events before the pre-release. And he's just like, yeah, sure. It, bro. So I'm taking this to locals on Tuesday.
I wish I could be there to see it.
Oh, you can't make it. Oh,
No, sadly.
they won't know what hit them. I mean, they will. It's a really, really big text, but you know what I
They'll,
mean.
yeah, they'll see it.
But they won't see it coming. So yeah, that's all of that. I think it's time we actually looked at the deck properly. And as you can see, it hasn't changed a lot since last time. In the last build, I was running 2 player bodies and took out 1 creepy realization and 1 struggling with studies. But the old deck list I found was clearly a bit older, so I kind of forgot that's what I'd done. But at the same time, I didn't need the player bodies. I didn't need that 1 extra speed. And I'm very, very glad I put the extra creepy realization and struggling with studies back in, because they were huge in this match.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I love Player Body, it's not something Mineta needs, and especially with a more aggressive meta at the minute.
Yeah.
Just struggling and creepy just seem like better cards to have.
And Classmate Introduction with its +1 damage is just better than Player Body as well. Even if it can only do it on your first attack, that's a way to buff back up your throws after Mirio puts it down.
Gotta have that Mirio hit in there. If you're going to an event like this, you've got to have something for Mirio and Overhaul in the main deck.
Absolutely, but you also have to be prepared for Capture Evildoers, because that will just steal your momentum. And actually, there's a whole load of momentum hate in the meta right now, specifically because of people like Mirio who really like that 1 momentum, and also Eri, which needs that 1 momentum to say no to your attack. Eri does very little to this deck because this deck is so much chip damage, but we do still need to deal with the hate for Eri and also with the hate for Mirio. So the answer to that is Manifest here. Manifest, I mean, I just put 4 of this in the deck. I didn't take anything out for it because also Mill exists now and people are playing bigger decks. I wanted to be able to win Mill matchup, which never actually
Yeah.
came up, but it was worth doing.
It's
So
better to have the answers for something and not need it than need it and not have it.
yeah, Manifest is great because it's a +1 high block, so we often won't even need to discard momentum with Mineta for it. We won't need to set their speed to 0, but if we do, still cool. The first thing, is it adds another card from the card pool to momentum, face up, which can occasionally matter with the other new card we've added, but we'll talk about that in a second. And it draws as a card. So it fishes as another card, which is great. It's basically not even a card in the deck in that regard. But also it gives us a free momentum, which we can generate either on our turn or in the opponent's turn during their attack for a surprise speed zeroing, which is really important. Then, if we block with it, we gain 2 health back, which is also huge, because you can be on 4 health, see a 5 damage throw, block it with this, gain 2 back up, go to 6, take 3, suddenly your opponent's next throw doesn't kill you.
Yeah, it's just great. And with the enhance, when we were testing, you used it more in my turn than your own.
Yeah, well, I used it a bit on both because I didn't draw as many attacks as I like in some games, and playing Foundation, then Tentacle Grasp, which is a 3 diff, meant that I could then do Manifest on a 5, put the Foundation into Momentum, which gave me a Momentum as though I'd played an attack, and then draw into another attack potentially, which was really nice. Tentacle Grasp is also a great target for Manifest because once it's in Momentum, it just gets to give -1 speed to everything. Some matchups this mattered, some matchups it didn't. If Tentacle Grasp was my only momentum, it was generally pretty bad to use that ability. because you then just end up discarding Tentacle Grasp afterwards anyway. But if it wasn't my only momentum, if I'd managed to get a bunch, then Tentacle Grasp was really good as sort of, if they buff speed back up after you've lowered it, you can lower it back down again.
Yeah, because that was always the problem with Mineta before, was that they would often just save one of their speed ups till afterwards.
Yeah.
And you was in a weird game of chicken about do you use it or not.
Yeah. And this just helps get around that just a little bit. And also, it's a 3-diff, so it means you can play it as your third card of the turn and not have to worry. It doesn't have the plus damage that Sticky Ball Toss Tackle that this is replacing did, but it doesn't need it. We just do damage over time anyway with all our little bits of chip.
Yeah. Chip's fine as long as you can keep going, which Tendergrass helps you do. And normally the 4 mid block would turn a lot of people off. It's why I stopped running in Amajiki himself, was that reason. But when every speed is hopefully 0 or like 1 or 2, a 4 is a lot less bad.
A 4 is still pretty bad if you're dealing with progressive, which you probably will be if you're blocking multiple attacks in a turn. But at the same time, we have Struggling with Studies pulls another card out your pool to deal with that. And also, Tentacle Grasp itself gives -1 speed if there's one in momentum. So there are ways to adjust for that still.
Yeah, and you could always say do it at the first one, and if you have the Manifest in hand, use that to put the Tentacle Grasp in the momentum for minus speed.
But the biggest thing is after you've done that, you then, on their third attack, pick back up the Manifest with Struggling with Studies.
Yeah, you did that to me a couple times, and such a nice combo for you. I did not like you doing it, but it was great for you.
Yeah, the interaction between Manifest and Struggling with Studies is just absolutely nutty. And I'm also really fond of Faith Shield. You block with it on a 3. If their attack was a mid anyway, you don't remove it. You just wait till their next attack, pick it back up with Struggling with Studies, then still have a perfect block to use with Faith Shield.
Yeah, you've always got to worry if they don't remove Faith Shield when you're attacking them.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's end turn there, it goes to discard pile, you pick it back up with Creepy Vine Eruption.
Which makes them not want to block the creeping, so you get more damage in, because they're like, I don't want you to have that Faith Shield.
Yeah, I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't for them. Now, I have noticed we don't have a ton of low blocks. We just got Pop-Off Step and actually Struggling with Studies itself. But at the same time, we got Faith Shield and Wall Cling, so we got 2 perfect blocks, or rather 8. And then if we really need, late in the turn, Creepy Realization will do it as well.
Yeah, because what's the more perfect block than just straight up 0 damage?
Exactly. I mean, it almost doesn't matter that we have bad low blocks or a lack of low blocks. We can deal with it.
Like, it can be annoying against Mirio because the few Mirio I faced, they always seem to just always make it a low, not even trying to like switch it up to say a high instead, which just means you can quite sometimes punish them. It's like, for me, I normally would just get rid of the low blocks because, oh, they're not needed, but against Mirio, I sided in Engine Trouble in Tiger just because it was a low breaker 1.
Yeah. That's entirely valid. I never got a chance to side against Mirio. I built a sideboard specifically with your help for dealing with Mirio's momentum. And it just never came up because I never actually finished a game against Mirio. You know, it wasn't I won, it wasn't I lost. We never got the end of a game. So, yeah, I'm not even going to bother showing you the sideboard. Because, I mean, at one point I sided something in, and then just checked it all anyway. It was never relevant.
Oh, that's the worst to do.
I mean, I still won, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's always annoying. You cite something in, and then you never actually see it other than the checks.
Yeah.
I guess it's not so bad if it's a good check, but I've sometimes sided in a bad check, and it's ruined me.
That's not good.
That's why that card came out the side.
But yeah, here's the deck list as it stands. It's a good deck. It was definitely capable of topping the event. I just didn't manage it because it was so grueling to play hour and 4, hour and 5 long games or long rounds for the entire day, pretty much non-stop. Which is why I'm not going to day 3 today. But at the same time, I thoroughly enjoyed the games I had. It was a great time.
Yeah, same here. It's like, I don't remember a lot about my actual matches at Nationals. They were great matches, But just the people I met at Nats and just started talking to is just honestly the highlight of these bigger events for me. It's just the community itself. It just
yeah, the community is great.
I don't think yet I've had a single problem with anyone in the UniVersus community at all. It's all been welcoming and just friendly people. Hell, look at my collection of Magnas. I put on it the day before, just, oh, has anybody got Magna that can have it? I've got at least like 30, 40 Magna now, and I had 7 before.
Anyway, Ian, that's all from this. I will link the previous deck list down in the description below so you can get a better overview of how the deck works, but this is all I needed to say for this one. And yeah, I'll catch you all next time. Bye.
Bye.